That's what my lawyer said, his voice a crackle of static from London to Florida, after reading the papers my sister forged. The words didn't feel real. I was halfway through my morning coffee, the bitter taste of a London dawn on my tongue, when he told me the condo my grandmother left me was gone. Sold. Signed. Stolen. My sister had turned my inheritance into her own payday, and the proof was a digital ghost on my screen. I didn't scream. I didn't even hang up. I just stared out the window, watching the English rain slide down the glass like tears, as if it already knew the storm I was about to become. Because if Molin thought I'd stay quiet overseas, she had no idea what silence could forge. I used to think an ocean was enough to protect me. From the family drama, the constant comparisons, the quiet looks that said I'd never be enough. London was my sanctuary, a city where I could breathe, build a life from my own hands and my art. Molin stayed in Florida, married well, became the perfect daughter everyone bragged about. Mom adored her for it. And I was the dreamer who left, always a little too much, a little too messy. But there was one person who never made me feel small. Grandma Evelyn. She was sunlight in a world of cold approval. Every summer, I'd sit on her balcony overlooking Tampa Bay, the scent of lavender tea and salt air mingling as the ceiling fan hummed a lazy tune. She'd tell me stories of starting over after Grandpa died, her voice a low, steady rhythm against the tide. "Don't let life make you small, Lizzie," she'd whisper, her hand, papery and warm, squeezing mine. "You were meant to take up space." That condo wasn't just property. It was her legacy. A place soaked in her scent, her laughter, her unwavering love. When she passed, she left me the deed, handwritten and signed in her soft, looping cursive. It was her final way of saying, "I see you. Even if no one else does." After the funeral, Molin handled everything, the flowers, the paperwork, the estate meetings. She looked so composed in her cream-colored dress, greeting relatives like a gracious hostess instead of a grieving granddaughter. I thought she was being responsible. Turns out, she was rearranging more than the roses. The shock of my lawyer's call was cold, precise. It felt like a surgical blade severing the last tie to the girl I used to be. I opened my laptop, scrolling until I found a photo of Grandma and me on that balcony. Her hand rested on mine. The sunlight caught the silver watch she always wore. My throat tightened into a knot of grief and fury. That condo was proof that someone once believed I was enough. And my sister had cashed that belief in for a check. The drizzle outside grew heavier, tapping against the windowpane like a warning. I closed my eyes and whispered to the empty room. "Grandma, I'm sorry. I should have protected what you gave me." Then my phone buzzed. A new email from my lawyer. Subject: Inconsistencies found. My heart stilled. Because deep down, I already knew. "Elizabeth." Douglas's voice was tense. "There's something off. The notary stamps don't match. And the signature, it looks rehearsed." Rehearsed. The word hung in the air. He hesitated, then exhaled softly. "Silly girl." He muttered, not at me, but at the audacity of the crime. Those two words, silly girl, were the spark. To him, an observation. To me, a declaration of war. My sister thought I was too naive, too distant, too lost in my dreams to notice. Maybe I had been. But not anymore. I spent the next few hours in a trance of focus, digging through digital archives and old letters. I compared every loop of Grandma's E, every cross of her T. And there it was, the truth, clear as day. The forged signature was almost perfect. Almost. That almost was the crack in my sister's perfect facade, and I would tear it wide open. By midnight, I was surrounded by a fortress of evidence. I sent it all to Douglas and typed one final line. She thought I wouldn't notice. She was wrong. My phone buzzed. A blocked number. A text that froze my blood. "You've been asking questions." The next morning, Molin called, her voice saccharine and sharp. "Liz, you won't believe it. I finally sold Grandma's condo. Cash offer. I handled it like a pro." I let the silence stretch, a void for her arrogance to fill. "Anyway," she chirped, "I'm sending you 10,000. I figured you could use the help." 10,000, I repeated, my voice dangerously calm. From my inheritance. She laughed, a light, tinkling sound that had always felt like broken glass. Oh, come on. Grandma wanted it for both of us. You're off living your art dream. I handled everything. For the family. You forged her signature, Mullen. Her tone iced over. Watch it, Liz. You're being dramatic again. The line went dead. I saved the recording. Proof. When my mother called, her voice was weary. Elizabeth, please. Just let it go. Your sister has her life together. She stole from me, Mom. You used to be so kind. She sighed, and the disappointment in her voice was an old, familiar ache. I don't know what happened to you. What happened was I finally woke up. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Ethan, Mullen's husband. His call was a quiet confession in the dead of night. Elizabeth, he said, his voice stripped raw. I didn't know. She told me you'd given up your claim. But after the bank froze the accounts, I looked for myself. She forged it all. She said you wouldn't notice from overseas. He paused. I'll testify. You were right all along. His words didn't bring victory, just a heavy, clarifying calm. With Ethan's testimony, the case was airtight. Mullen's lawyers crumbled. They offered a settlement, a fraction of what she'd stolen. No, I told Douglas, my voice steady. I'll settle on my terms. My terms were not about money. They were about truth. A notarized letter, confessing every detail of her forgery. Full repayment to the buyers, from her own accounts. A letter to our parents, explaining what she did. A legal binding that she would never contest another inheritance. Poetic. Brutal. She agreed. When the PDF of her confession arrived, I expected to feel triumph. Instead, I felt the weight of a broken bond. Justice doesn't erase betrayal. It just proves you were right all along. With the condo legally mine again, I made my final choice. I sold it. Grandma didn't leave it for me to cling to, I explained to Douglas. She left it for me to move forward. When the payment cleared, $350,000, I didn't see a number. I saw a belief. A promise. I quit my job and opened a small studio, naming it Evelyn Creative. One desk, one client, one dream that was entirely my own. A month later, a small package arrived from Florida. Inside was Grandma's silver watch, the one from the photograph. A simple note from my mother was tucked inside. She would want you to have this. I turned the watch over. An inscription I had never seen before was etched into the silver. The world is waiting. I fastened it to my wrist. The ticking was faint but steady, a heartbeat across time, a guide not to the past I had lost, but to the future she had always believed I would claim. One morning, sunlight spilled across my drafting table, warming the silver on my wrist. I smiled, whispering to the memory in the air. I'm taking up space, Grandma. Just like you said. Outside, London buzzed with life, new clients, new beginnings, a story I was finally writing for myself. The past wasn't a ghost to haunt me anymore. It was a quest I had completed. And the truth I uncovered there had finally set me free.